You are listening to the ADHD Support Talk Radio, and this is your host, Tara McGillicuddy. Just like to remind you that the ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast is sponsored by ADDclasses.com. Sign up now for a free webinar by going to www.addclasses.com. And I would like to wish everybody a Happy New Year, Happy 2018. And what I'm going to talk about in this podcast episode is energetic ADHD blocks and how they may be interfering with having success in the new year and success in general. And I know I have not really heard anyone, I'm not saying that and nobody else is discussing this, but I have not seen or heard or read of anybody talking about energetic blockages or blocks when it comes to ADHD. And most of the information, strategies, tips that we've been taught, we've learned, that we've come across about ADHD are brain-based. And brain-based strategies that are researched, those are great. I'm not saying we shouldn't focus on those, but that's what the majority of the ADHD research, ADHD information is based on, is brain-based strategies. And then there's some physical information and research too. But nobody's talking about energetic in relationship to ADHD. I just think in general, our medical community does not go there. So there, we have our physical body, we have our brain, but we also have an energetic field, and there's energy that we come in contact with that can really impact us, both positively and negatively. So when you talk to somebody, if somebody smiles at you, you're going to have that's going to send out positive energy to your energetic space and your body and everything else. If you talk with somebody and you fight with them and they're a negative person, you may absorb that negative energy. So as we've gone through life as human beings, we've absorbed and dealt with a lot of negative energy. And when you add ADHD to the picture, we've had probably even more negative energy in different types. Those of us with ADHD have common energy blocks and negative energy that we've dealt with as opposed to somebody without ADHD. So I want to let you know about something new that I am working on. I am going to be doing an energetic clearing. I know it's something many of you have not heard about, and it's going to be a free webinar at addclasses.com on January 16th. And what I'm going to do is talk about some of the most common ADHD-related energetic blocks or blockages that are hindering our success, specifically in the new year. But if you happen to come across this later on, most of those blocks, the energetic blocks and blockages, do affect people throughout the year. But since so many people are in that mindset and there's this energy to change things with New Year's resolutions and make changes because it's a new year, there can be energetic blocks that could come into play. So what we're going to do in the webinar is I'm going to talk about some of the most common ones that adults with ADHD deal with, face, have, and we're also going to do a group clearing. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to say something, you're going to repeat it after me, and it will clear some of the energetic blocks. Won't be able to clear everything in a 1-hour webinar, and it's not even a full 1-hour webinar because I'll be talking about the energetic blocks. So in a 30-minute, let's say it's 30 minutes of energy clearing. Because what happens, we have a lifetime of energetic blocks and blockages and attachments and all this stuff. So what we'll do is it'll clear some of it. But what happens after you have an energetic clearing? And I've had several of them over the past several years. I'm also trained in Reiki, certified in Reiki 1 and 2, certified as an Akashic Records reader, and taken hundreds of hours worth of metaphysical types classes. So, it might be something, why am I qualified to do this energy clearing? And I guess I am. But what you can also do is I'm introducing you to the concept of energy clearing. So if you don't resonate with me, you don't want to go to my webinar, you can research this online. You can research energetic clearing for the new year or just in general. Type it into Google, go into YouTube. Maybe you might find a Reiki master or an energetic healer or someone you want to go to and have an in-person session with. But energetic clearing can really benefit people. So everybody's different. But some people might have the clearing and instantly might make changes in their lives. Like they might notice things instantly. But more often than not, what happens is you have an energetic clearing and then little things start happening. What might happen is you might clear some energy, remove some blockages, and then all of a sudden you find or you look at a book that's been on your shelf for 3 years that you bought 3 years ago and never read, never looked at, and you're going to just open it up to a page and it's going to have like this amazing tip on it that's going to change your life. Or somebody new might come into your life and they might, help you with a new business. You might find childcare for your children. So it's things like that. It's the energy. What it does, it releases energy, removes energy, the energy block clearings. And then sometimes you're able to focus on those brain-based strategies, try them out. You might have resources to hire a coach. You might find something. So the energetic blocks can be very helpful, but just don't expect miracles from the first session. So I'm excited to be doing this. It's funny, I've had this idea for years and I'm like, I don't know if people are going to be open to this. Am I qualified to do it? What makes me qualified to do it? And then I just kept thinking, okay, what hasn't been done in the ADHD world? I've been involved in the ADHD community for over 20 years. And I'm like, how many more times can I do a class about time management strategies? How many more times can we talk about procrastination strategies? And not to say those aren't good and can't help people, but I think it's time that the ADHD community learn something new. I know we've had mindfulness over the past few years. That's a newer type of treatment, modality, management for ADHD. But other than that, it's been the same type of strategies. The research, there's research about medications but there's not a lot of new stuff with ADHD. And I believe it's important for people to understand their auric fields, their energetic bodies, and to at least, even if you don't buy it, believe it, at least look it up and research it yourself. So what can happen in the new year if you remove some of these energetic blockages is you can start moving forward. You can have success. There's a lot of stuff to clear out. And as I'm recording this, it's the beginning of 2018. And 2017, there was a lot of negative energy going around in this world that we picked up. I mean, if you watch the news, listen to the news for 5 minutes in the entire year, you picked up some negative energy. If you had a discussion about our president with anyone, doesn't matter what your political stance is, there was negative energy out there. And I know a lot of people last year just dealt with some crazy negative stuff, a lot of losses, a lot of illnesses. So as a society in whole, it's important, I think, for us to clear some of that negative energy and some of those blocks. But for those of us with ADHD, in addition to that, we have some of, the emotional issues of shame, of fear, of not feeling good enough and things like that. And those will be some of the things that I'm going to talk about in the webinar. So let's see, what else do I want to talk about? The new ADHD Support Talk community. We have a new Facebook group. And I went back and forth about whether to add a Facebook group because Facebook can really, there's a lot of negative energy in there. But I think if people are on there anyways, I might as well add a Facebook group. So you can go to ADHDsupporttalk.com and there'll be a button there to join the Facebook group. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about different strategies, different ways to improve our lives. And for the most part, it's going to be positive focus. I know with ADHD, everything's not rainbow and sunshine all the time, so sometimes we have to talk about negative stuff. It's important to get that out there. But we're going to focus more on positives and changes and what has worked in people's lives and how to try something new. So go to ADHDsupporttalk.com and press the button to sign up for the Facebook ADHD community. So if you would like to sign up for my webinar about ADHD and energetic blocks, you can go to www.880classes.com, and the webinar takes place at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, January 16th. But if you sign up before the 16th, there'll be a 1-week replay, which you can listen to at any time. And this might be one of these ones, or it's definitely going to be one of these webinars that's going to be beneficial to listen to multiple times, because we're going to be doing clearings. And for the average person, most people, it's going to be beneficial to clear this stuff multiple times. All right, so thank you so much for listening to ADHD Support Talk Radio. And if you have found ADHD Support Talk Radio helpful, please leave us some feedback. Leave us a positive review on iTunes, because what happens, the more positive reviews we have on iTunes, the easier it is for people to find us and get support with ADHD. And I just realized that I had a couple of reviews that were posted the end of 2017, and I'd like to thank you. I honestly didn't even look at them, didn't think people would have left reviews. So there were 2 ones, and I really like to thank people for taking the time to give feedback. And I don't even think I had asked for those. I don't remember asking for reviews, but thank you so much for taking the time to, and I know it's only a few minutes to write out a review, but we all have crazy busy lives, and there are so many other things that can catch our attention and take our energy. So thank you so much for those of you who have written reviews on iTunes. And, it helps me know that what I'm doing with this podcast is beneficial, because last year I was reevaluating everything I was doing with the ADHD community. And I was wondering, does it make sense to continue with this podcast? Because I talked about with one of the reasons why I'm doing this webinar about ADHD and energetic blocks is what more can I talk about? I've been doing this podcast for almost 10 years now, and what else can we talk about on here that hasn't been discussed? I know I don't need to reinvent the wheel every time, and I can talk about different topics because, it's not like you talk about them once and they go away, but I also like to keep things fresh, and I think with my own ADHD, I like to change things, and so I can change things a little bit or big, and I'd really like to thank those of you who have reached out to me. Some people have reached out and sent emails saying the podcast is helpful, so thank you, because I want to put my time and energy into things that help other people, and it's good to know that this podcast is helpful. And since I started this podcast 10 years ago, there have been other people that are doing ADHD podcasts. So when I started in 2008, there weren't really anyone else, so people needed my voice because nobody else was doing it, and now I think people still benefit and need my voice because my voice is different than everyone else's. So, thank you so much. Be sure to stop by ADHDsupporttalk.com and sign up for a Facebook group if that is something that you think is going to help you. And I'm really looking forward to this new webinar at ADD Classes about clearing ADHD energetic blocks. So sign up for that at ADDclasses.com. Thanks again for listening.